Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber ask a question, which I'll flip in right here, and he basically asked, what do I think of the Spoto press? Now, for people who want cliff notes, you kind of got the cliff notes in my reply to him there in the screenshot. So for those who want to hear more details on it and think about this a little deeper, let's talk about it. So I'm going to put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and yeah, let's go into this. Alright, here's the thing, guys. What do I think of the Spoto press? It's like I said there, I don't think about it at all. Why should I? Why would I care? When you have one top level lifter with an amazing bench press who comes out and uses an accessory exercise that people are kind of naming after him, that no one would ever have heard of, no one would be talking about, no one would be doing, and it would be a complete non-issue if this person hadn't done it and talked about it. Why should I think about it at all? I mean, if people say, what do you mean? He's like, best bench presser in the world. You should talk about it. You should care about it. No, I shouldn't. Why should I? It's an accessory exercise. It's an accessory exercise. And what world does anyone live in where one person's choice of accessory exercise affects anyone else? Stop and think about that for a minute. Does anyone honestly and truly think that his choice of a favorite accessory exercise for his main lift is actually responsible for his bench press? For a guy who can bench press 700 plus pounds, does anyone actually think that's a real factor, that he chose that specific accessory, that that's really that big of a deal? If you honestly think that, you're completely losing the plot. You're completely losing the plot with accessory exercises, how they work and everything else. You know why he does it? Because he likes it. That's it. If you don't like the Spoto press and you prefer the weighted dip to do the exact same thing, guess what? You should probably do the weighted dip. If you prefer the closed grip bench press as your accessory exercise to build up your pecs and triceps instead of that, if you're doing tons of heavy benching already, you should do that instead. Why? Because you enjoy it. That's it. Think about that for a minute. And think about the role of accessory exercises. The role of accessory exercises is generally, for any strength athlete, to put size on and add additional workload and metabolic fatigue to the muscles that you're trying to use for your big lifts. There are top-level lifters with amazing lifts who don't even do accessory work. There are also top-level lifters who do up to 70% of their training with accessory work. You know what that comes down to? Personal preference. That's it. Personal preference. Nothing else. Nothing more, nothing less. You can develop an amazing bench press with absolutely enormous pecs and triceps doing literally nothing but bench pressing all the time. It has been done. There are people with insane results to prove it. And there are also people who do 70% of their work for those muscles with accessories, who have amazing bench presses and enormous pecs and triceps. Think it really matters that much outside of personal preference? Probably not. Very, very little. Maybe 1%. That shouldn't matter to any of you. Do you know why Eric Spoto has an amazing bench press? I'm going to sum it up for you. He has an amazing bench press because he has amazing genetics for the bench press. He uses shit fucking loads of drugs, mind-boggling amounts of drugs, and he trains his ass off and eats his ass off. That's the combination. That is how he did it. Let me repeat that for those who don't understand that. The reason Eric Spoto has an amazing bench press is because he has amazing genetics, uses fuckloads of drugs, and he trains and eats his ass off day in and day out for years and years and years. That's why. That's the entire reason. That's 100% of the reason he has an amazing bench press. Genetics, drugs, insane work ethic, and lots of food. That is his magic secret. That's it. That's how you get a 700-pound bench press right there. There is no magic secret outside of that. It's not an accessory exercise. And he got an amazing bench press by doing fuckloads of heavy bench pressing day in and day out for years and years and years on top of it. The accessory movement is just that. It's an accessory movement. He got a massive bench press by doing tons of bench press. You guys want a great bench press? Eat lots of food and do lots of heavy benching. I don't think his choice of accessory exercises mattered at all. You know what I think? I think he would still have a 700 plus pound bench press if he had, instead of the Spoto press, named after him, if he had just substituted that out, the same amount of workload with dips or closed grip bench press or a one board press or a floor press, and he replaced it completely with those exercises for all those same years, I think his bench press would still be within 3 to 5 pounds of what it is. I don't think it would make a significant difference. You know why? Because all of those exercises also build the same basic pattern and the same muscles that the Spoto press does. So this is important because people were, he said that in my video about partials. I'm not a big fan of partials outside of maybe sport-specific criteria. The majority of people shouldn't be doing partials really. And you know what? That's just what Eric Spoto does. He does a kind of a partial, because I think the Spoto press, you stop 1 inch short of the chest. For most lifters, that's probably not going to be your secret, because most lifters are weakest immediately off the chest. 90% of raw bench pressers, the number one thing they could do to improve their bench press is to do more pause benching for at least the next 3 to 5 years. Next 3 years, just do tons and tons and tons of pause benching. Hold for a 1 count on your chest for every rep, a 2 count, a 3 count, pause benching. 90% of raw benchers, their weak link is not getting enough speed and power off their chest. Try letting that bar sink all the way into your chest and holding it there for at least a 1 count on every rep for the next 3 years. And eat tons of food, because we know for a fact food intake and body weight is more correlated, the bench press, and those are more correlated with your maximum bench than they are on any other of the big lifts. Lots of data has been on that, showing that. It has to do with just the nature of the bench press. It's the most body weight related and caloric related exercise you do out of the big 3 competitive lifts. So tons of pause benching and tons of food. That will get you there. It will get you to your genetic limits. Accessory exercises are just that. They're accessory exercises. You should think about the ones that you do and pick them, but are they going to make or break you the specific ones that you pick, as long as they're still working the same basic muscles, working the same weak points? Not going to matter. Not going to matter very much, because they're in a different exercise from the primary movement. The primary movement is where you get all your neural efficiency, your motor unit learning, everything else. Accessory stuff, because it's not contributing to the same bar path and the movement pattern acceleration curve, generally only makes or breaks you in terms of how much muscle it adds. That's it. Your motor unit learning and all that, the specificity of training, is coming from the primary exercise. The accessories are there to put more meat on those muscles, to give you a different path, because maybe you get tired of benching all the time. Maybe you want to work some of those muscles at a slightly different percentage. Maybe you want a little more tricep and a little less chest. Well, actually, stopping short of the chest will do that. That's going to take some of the pec out at the bottom. It's basically turning into slightly more tricep dominant exercise, not by a lot, just a small shift. And maybe again, he's just wanting to shift things around a little bit. That's fine. Break up the monotony of just heavy benching all the time. But plenty of guys have also had amazing benches who just pause bench and overhead press. And I would say that for most people, most lifters, the best accessory they're going to find for their bench press, as long as they're doing tons and tons of pause benching, I think overhead pressing and particularly push pressing are going to give most guys out there, are probably going to be your best accessory exercises for a raw bench. Not everybody, and that's the thing with accessories. Pick your accessories based on your weaknesses. But most lifters are going to find, if they want to bring their bench press up quickly, pause benching. Pause benching and lots of overhead pressing. That'll do it for you. Time proven method used by many a raw 500-pound bencher out there. In fact, there are guys who've gotten to 500-pound bench presses who very rarely bench press, and they use the overhead press as their primary. There are guys who, once they get to a 400-pound push press, who very rarely bench press, have crazy bench presses when they do bother to do it. But, again, because all those muscles are big and strong and you train for explosive power. So, but ultimately at the end of the day, guys, accessory movements are just that. They're accessories. And because one person has chosen an exercise, people suddenly run out there and they follow bandwagons and they jump on trends and act as if that one exercise was some magical secret. when the magical secret is anything but that. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.